The studio lights shone brightly, but the energy in NBC's Studio 6B was even hot tower. The crowd's applause pulsed through the air like electricity fizzling out into anxious murmurs as Jimmy Fallon leaned forward with that achingly familiar smile, eyes twinkling, seated across from him, poised with an air of confident self-assurance. Far in excess of her years was Karoline Leavitt, a name America was barely beginning to know. But tonight, all of that would change tonight. Karoline would give an answer so forceful, so raw, that it would bring down Fallon in mid-sentence, put the crowd on their feet, and reach millions viewers. In living rooms, Karoline was raised in Atkinson, New Hampshire. Her mom, a schoolteacher, and her father, a mechanic, taught her the value of tenacity, candor, and standing tall when your knees quivered as a child. She'd sit in her bedroom typing speeches as though she was on a national stage, speaking truth to power, but dreaming in small towns. Sometimes stars seemed distant, beautiful, and unreachable. Still, Karoline clung. Her journey to that stage was anything but smooth. After interning in Washington, D.C., she had an uphill battle in politics, one often cruel for one so young and forthright, especially as a woman in a sharply polarized America online. Trolls spewed insults. Commentators said she was inexperienced. Political opponents questioned everything from her ability to her character. But Karoline did not hesitate. Instead, she listened, learned, and rose. So when Jimmy Fallon had her on to The Tonight Show, it wasn't just an other interview. It was a moment she had fought for with every sleepless night, every door. She pounded on every voice that attempted to drown her out. The segment began breezy, as they do. Fallon teased lightly, joking about her youth and energy. Karoline laughed, along, warm and self-aware. The crowd chuckled too, warming to her own natural charm. Then Fallon leaned in with a question that was more serious than his tone implied. "Karoline, you've been described as controversial, bold, even reckless by certain people. You're so young. What do you think makes you ready to help guide this country?" The studio fell silent. It was the sort of question designed to provoke, to get her back on the defensive. But Karoline didn't flinch. She told Jimmy directly in the face, and for a moment the stage was a quiet room in her own family home. "I don't think I'm ready," she began, her voice strong, genuine. "I know I'm ready because I've been through the struggles that so many Americans are facing. I've watched my dad come home with hands blackened from oil and tired eyes after a 12-hour shift, merely to be able to feed us. I've watched my mom use her own wages to buy supplies for her classroom because the system wouldn't. I've been rejected, derided, and undervalued, not merely in politics, but in life. And I'm still standing." Her tone rose, not in outrage, but in conviction. "I'm not here because I'm flawless. I'm here because I represent the imperfect millions who are tired of being ignored. And if passion and not hesitating to speak truth makes me a controversy, then so be it. I'll wear that proudly armor." There was a silence. Fallon opened his lips, then closed his mouth. Everyone held their breath. Then suddenly, like thunder sounding over an inclement weather sky, the room erupted. Applause, cheers. People bounced out of seats. Karoline just sat there, not triumphant, but firmly established. She'd spoken for everyone who'd never have had a microphone. A moment hit. The world went viral in short order. People shared clips on social media of captions like, "Finally, someone who gets it," and "Karoline speaks for us." But what meant more to Karoline were the private messages: a waitress in Ohio saying she felt heard, a teenager in Texas inspired to speak up in her classroom, a single father in Michigan saying, "You gave me hope." Behind the scenes, Karoline sat alone for a moment in her green room after the show. Her hands trembled slightly, the adrenaline still running through her. She thought of her parents who had slept late to watch, and the folks back home who believed in her when the world didn't. She smiled not because of pride, but gratitude. That night wasn't about politics. It wasn't about winning an argument on television. It was about a young woman who had dared to bring her entire self, her narrative, her wounds, her resilience to the forefront, and speak for those who couldn't. And as the lights in Studio 6B were lowered, a new kind of light was just beginning to burn. The kind of light that does not flare with fame, but smolders with purpose. Because one voice is sometimes all it takes to make the world speechless and light a fire of revolution.